Good morning, my fellow treasure hunters. It's been a while since I've made a video. Unfortunately, one of the things in being an amateur treasure hunter is that you always have to do that nasty four-letter word, which is work. You always have that work to support your family and pay your bills and do the things that you need to do. And so that cuts into all the fun and the time spent treasure hunting. We've been trying now for several years to be able to do this full time and turn this into a business. It's been a struggle to find investors and people that are interested in coming on board. There's a lot of people that have interest, but they, either don't have the money or the time or vested interest that Dan and I do and know what's out there. Just the other day we had a confirmation of what we've been doing and working on. I'm going to read you an email that I received from a fellow treasure hunter who contacted me through this channel. I have also been in contact with a couple of potential investors that are in various stages of commitment or the thought process. Anyway, we are continuing to look for people that are interested in participating in what we're doing and have the time and the money to fund our research and our trips into the field. And I'm going to give some evidences today of what we're working on to try to generate some interest. Anybody that's aware of what's going on in the world around us, the stock market, the new presidency, which, in my view, in my personal view, has come into question. I mean, for years people were saying, on the left were saying that, questioning the legitimacy of Donald J. Trump because he came up from a business perspective as a businessman, had no experience in politics, and so they called him illegitimate. And yet, in my view, he's accomplished more in 4 years than any president since our founding fathers. And we know with the questions surrounding the events of this past election that, and you can see the t-shirt, it's available on below you can see that we've got some t-shirts and some merchandise listed to help support this channel, and this is one of the t-shirts that I created that supports how I feel about what's going on. There's a lot of questions. But anyway, life goes on, and we'll do the best with what we're handed here. Anyway, I want to get back to what I'm talking about today. I received an email from a gentleman, and I'm going to read that. I'm going to leave his name and his information off of there, but I'm going to read that and then explain how that ties into our research and how, in a small way, even though this was a found cache, it does help our research because we can now focus on other things rather than we can check that off as one of our sites that we've been working on. Anyway, the other part of what I want to talk about today is a particular cache that we've been working on for a couple of years now, and I want to show some of the evidences that I've found that validates this cache. And I'm actually going to give some credit where I believe there's some credit due to a particular writer, even though we don't always agree with some of the things that has been written. When we find things that are accurate and that help us, then we will give credit to those particular individuals. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into my email here and I'm going to read the contents of this email that reveals some information about a Spanish treasure cache that was found in the area that we have been researching. One of the areas we've been researching. Okay. Hello, I have been an active treasure hunter of the early Spanish exploration since 1977 when I found a smelter site, and after a few months, the mine where I recovered 184 70-pound bars of Doré silver. So he found 184 70-pound bars of Doré silver. or 6.5 tons. It got me hooked real bad. Well, it'd get anybody hooked. The old mine was almost worked out. There was a pile of slag which had traces of gold and lead also recovered. Okay, so then he goes into some other details about different research that he had done, and kind of how he found this site. But back in the 70s, I'm going to do a little search here real quick. Price of silver in 1977. So the price of silver, December 23rd of 1977. I want to verify that that's the correct date. Yep, 1977, and I'm going to assume that that was not during the winter time, of course. Wasn't in December, but it would have been earlier in the year, sometime 1977. So it was $4 and what I say, $4.70 an ounce. So, you know, $4 an ounce was nothing to scoff at in 1977. But, you know, today silver is, you know, up over $20 an ounce some days. And so the price of metals has gone up significantly. Let's go, I want to look at today's spot price of gold. Okay, today the spot price of gold is $18.66. Says the price of gold is up more than 300% in the past 15 years. It's up. Silver is $25. Silver is $25.86. Back when I bought some silver last year, early in the year, I think it was around $17 an ounce. So it's up $25.86 an ounce. And gold is up, this is platinum. Platinum is up to $1,125.88 an ounce. Platinum is up $9.85 an ounce. Gold is actually down today, $3.92 an ounce. Gold is sitting at $1,866.34 an ounce. So that's one of the reasons why right now we've made a big push to get some financial help in pushing forward in some of our projects, is because of the price of gold and silver and precious metals. We do have a really significant platinum cache that we're also working on that shows a lot of promise. So anyway, because of this email I received from this gentleman, and because of the master map that has been developed by Dan Lowe, and all these Spanish documents that we have in our possession, we have been able to identify the particular site that gentleman emailed me about on our master map and check it off. So it was one of the ones that we've been working on. It wasn't our top priority, but it's one that we can now check off the list because we know that it was found. That helps us. It also shows us that there may be other sites that we're working on that could be checked off the list as well. Maybe some of these other things have been found. And so that's part of this research. That's a part of research, is finding the sites, finding the caches, finding the old mines, seeing if they're played out, seeing if the caches are still there, and then checking that off and going to the next one. Pretty soon, and we're going to find some that have not been discovered. The one that I've been working on, and I'm going to show some photographs and evidences of that today, is a story about a Native American who told a gentleman about experiences that he had when he was a young man. And he was raised on a reservation up until a certain age, and then he was sent away to go to school in a white man's school. And later he returned home. And because of that, he was not fully trusted or accepted as one of the tribe because he had been away in the white man's education system. Anyway, he had some experiences where he contracted tularemia, I believe it was, rabbit fever, from an infected rabbit, and he was actually blind for almost a year. And because he had rubbed his eyes, and his eyes got infected with the disease, and the disease had to run its course, and he survived, but he slowly started getting his sight back. And he had some significant experiences. You could call them a supernatural or a spiritual experience, where he actually had a vision and saw some different things. And when he saw these things, he told his grandfather, whose home he was living in, and it scared his grandfather so bad that he ran out of the house and wouldn't come around him for about a week, because he had been shown some things that his grandfather knew about and had not told him about. And because of that, I guess after his grandfather finally got over his fright, his fear, he realized that he had a gift, or he had an experience, and that he was, entitled to know more, or if he was going to be shown things from the spirit world or supernaturally, there wasn't any reason to hide anything from him. And so he started showing him different things around their home. And one of the things that he showed him was where there was a great massacre site where the natives had fought with the Spanish over the Spanish taking gold and silver from their lands, basically their sacred lands, and they had a big battle with the Spanish and killed a bunch of them and buried them, and buried the gold bars that they were carrying on their mules, on their burros, and they buried those as well. And there were certain details about that massacre, and what they did, they took the pack animals and they cut their feet off. They took their feet, which had probably, most of them probably had horseshoes on them, and they took the feet of those and they buried the mule feet away from the rest of the pack animal, where they buried the pack animals, because they believed in the afterlife, if their feet were separated from them, they wouldn't be able to go anywhere. They wouldn't be able to loot the Ute lands. They wouldn't be able to take gold and silver from their lands. Well, another thing that they did was they buried the Spanish, and I think they buried their heads somewhere else other than where they buried their bodies. I'm not positive about that, but that's the rumor that I've heard. It also mentioned in there some metal boxes, that these metal boxes, iron boxes, contained, is what they would put the bars of gold or silver in to balance them out, and then they would put one on either side of these pack animals, and it would help hold them on. Because they were in metal boxes like this, it suggests that this was a king's mine, a mine that was sanctioned by the king, and that the king would have provided the method of transportation, the guards, and probably the iron or metal boxes that these bars were put in. Whether they were lock boxes or what they were entirely, we don't know. We have some clues, as I'm going to tell you about my experiences this last year. We have some very good clues. Well, from this particular story, I was able to do the research. Using Google Earth, I was able to identify some of the locations talked about. There's only so many features that are talked about in a story, and you get on Google Earth and these features can be looked at, identified, and then eliminated. Well, I took the top possible locations of this and started to eliminate them one at a time. At one of the locations I found the spot where the burrows were buried. And the reason I know this is where the burrows were buried is because I found the burrow bones. And the burrow bones were missing their feet. On top of the burrow bones missing their feet, I also found some parts of an old pack saddle, as well as some pieces of iron, some pieces of, when I really got them put back together, they were pieces of a small iron box. The lid was missing. The bottom part had disintegrated, and many of the bigger pieces were there, and I'm going to show some pictures of those on the screen. So I found the iron boxes. I found a bunch of the burrow bones missing their feet, and I also found a bunch of old bullets that were pre-1900 bullet slugs. Now, whether these bullets were fired by the Spanish or by the Indians that had acquired guns, either from the Spanish through trade or from other groups, other white men, or the French, or whoever they got the guns from. We know that the natives also at that time were trading for and stealing and obtaining horses. And so I have evidence of a great battle that took place in a location. I have the old bullets that were found in the burrows, so that bullets were used to kill the burrows. We found the iron boxes, and I found an old shovel. An old shovel. When I first found it, I thought it was a piece of Spanish armor, a breastplate, because my metal detector hit it, and it was 2 feet down in the ground, and my metal detector went crazy. I thought I either had a gold bar or a piece of Spanish armor. Well, when I got down, the shovel was, the blade of the shovel was facing like this, and it was big. It's bigger than a modern day shovel, and it was rippled, you know, like it'd been pounded. It'd been made. It was made by most likely the Spanish. But that was what was used to bury the burrow bones with, and it was on top of where the bones, some of the bones were. And it was, so it's a hand-forged shovel, an old hand-forged shovel. The handle was gone, there was nothing else there. But I was really excited. I thought I had a big piece of Spanish breastplate or armor. When I pulled that out of the ground, I looked at it for a minute and I could tell it was a shovel. And so I know that this is the right location for the massacre site. I know the clues that lead to where the cache site is. In relation to the massacre site, there's specific information as to where the cache site is. I went to that location, but because the ground was frozen like a brick and other various factors, I was unable to recover anything, even though I did get some very serious signals with my metal detector in that location. So I know there's something there. Whether or not it was what was on the burrows remains to be seen. And so anyway, there's a lot of treasure research out there. We're always chasing new stories from our research, and a lot of times these different angles all come together, and we find that this particular story is really this story is really this. So you find that some of these sites can be consolidated into one area, just different aspects of that particular cache or treasure story or mine start coming together, and you can identify the location. I've spent some time in another area and located a cave that I do believe has another cache in it, and but it's going to require some heavy lifting to get. Some of the ceiling has fallen down in the cave and has blocked off where this cache is supposed to be covered up. So anyway, got a couple of exciting things coming up, and if you have any comments or experiences of your own that you want to share, put it in the comments below, and like and share this so that we can continue to do these stories and put the information out there. I've also got a lot of t-shirts and hats and mugs and things that are created that have our treasure exploration, research and recovery logo on the front, and on the back it has a really cool picture or a scene or a quote or something. You can go through those. I'll put the link in the description below. We would appreciate it if you would look at our merchandise and purchase some of the merchandise. That is what helps us keep this channel funded. You're more than welcome to donate to this cause so that we can keep putting out great content. I'll also put the link to our PayPal account below. I'd like to be putting out a video every week, a couple a week would be nice. I just wanted to mention three good treasure hunting books that you could look at or consider purchasing for your treasure research. These books are all written by individuals that live in my general area location. I'm going to turn this noisemaker off. The story that I just told about the Native American that had seen knew his grandfather told him about the massacre site and about the gold boxes that had gold bars in it. It's found in this book, The Utah Gold Rush, The Lost Roads Mine, and the Hathenbrook Legacy. It's by Terry Ross Boren. There's some things in there that I don't agree with, but there's also some good information in there that you can cross-reference with other research. This particular book is been written by my friend, my business partner, Dan Lowe. This is the hard copy edition. There's a paperback edition and the PDF edition that's available on Amazon. So that's The Treasures of Utah and the Mysteries of the West by Daniel Lowe. This is a really good book, and it's probably one of the most accurate treasure information, some of the most accurate treasure information and historical information you can find in the western United States. This particular book was written by a professor at BYU, Dale Bascom. He's a friend of mine, and he has done a lot of research in this book. He spent a lot of time in various areas of Utah. And this particular book is an interesting one because it says, a GPS guide to Utah's lost mines and hidden treasures. And so he's actually got some GPS coordinates to some of the things that he has found and some of the interesting research that he has done, and I'd highly recommend that book too. That's a good book for somebody looking to get into treasure hunting. You guys have a great day and good luck in your treasure hunts.